Aemond Targaryen, the one-eyed prince who made Joffrey look like a choir boy. You think you have seen evil in Westeros? You think Joffrey was bad? Ramsay Bolton made your skin crawl? Let me introduce you to Aemond Targaryen, the one-eyed prince who accidentally started the bloodiest civil war in Westerosi history, committed war crimes like they were going out of style, and somehow made kinslaying look like a casual Tuesday activity. This guy did not just embrace his villain arc. He wrote the instruction manual. If you're ready to dive deep into one of the most terrifying Targaryens to ever ride a dragon, hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell, because this is about to get dark, brutal, and absolutely wild. Let's start with the origin story, because every great villain needs one. Aemond Targaryen was the second son of King Viserys the First and Alicent Hightower, which automatically put him in that dangerous position of being close to power, but not quite having it. He grew up watching his older brother Aegon waste every advantage he had, drinking and partying while Aemond actually studied, trained, and worked to become a proper prince. Imagine being the competent sibling who does everything right while your older brother gets everything handed to him just because he popped out first. That is a recipe for some serious psychological issues right there. But here's where things get interesting. When Aemond was 10 years old, he did not have a dragon yet. In a family where your worth is basically determined by whether you have a giant flying murder lizard, this was a massive problem. His older siblings had dragons. His nephews had dragons. Even his younger brother Daeron had a dragon. But Aemond? Nothing. He was being mocked and bullied by his own family for being dragonless, which in Targaryen terms is basically like being the kid who shows up to school without the latest phone. Except the phone breathes fire and could eat your enemies. So what does young Aemond do? He sneaks out in the middle of the night and claims Vhagar, the largest living dragon in the world. Not a baby dragon. Not some medium-sized starter dragon. The biggest, oldest, most terrifying dragon in existence, previously ridden by Queen Visenya Targaryen herself. This is like a 10-year-old deciding to adopt a grizzly bear as a pet and somehow succeeding. It was bold, it was reckless, and it established Aemond as someone who takes what he wants regardless of the consequences. But claiming Vhagar came with a price, and that price was his eye. His nephews and cousins attacked him after he claimed the dragon. In the fight that followed, Lucerys Velaryon slashed Aemond across the face with a knife, taking out his left eye. Now, losing an eye at age 10 would traumatize most people into therapy for life. Aemond? He turned it into his brand. He wore that eye patch like a badge of honor and let his resentment ferment into pure, concentrated hatred. This is the moment where Aemond went from ambitious prince to future war criminal. And here is the kicker. When his mother demanded justice for his eye, demanding that Lucerys lose an eye in return, Aemond stopped her. He said, and this is a direct quote that maesters still write about, that losing an eye was a fair price for gaining the largest dragon in the world. That is either incredibly mature or deeply disturbing, and knowing what comes next, it was definitely the latter. Because Aemond did not forget. He did not forgive. He just waited for the perfect moment to get revenge. Fast forward to the start of the Dance of the Dragons, and Aemond is now a young man in his late teens, riding the most powerful dragon alive, and nursing a grudge that has had years to grow into something truly monstrous. When his father dies, and his brother Aegon is crowned king, ignoring Rhaenyra's claim to the throne, the realm splits apart. And Aemond? He sees this as his opportunity to finally settle scores. The moment that truly defines Aemond's evil comes at Storm's End. Lucerys Velaryon, the nephew who took his eye, arrives as an envoy trying to secure alliances for his mother Rhaenyra. Aemond is there too, and he sees his chance. What happens next depends on which account you believe, but the facts are undeniable. Aemond pursues Lucerys on Dragonback, chasing him through a storm, and Vhagar kills both Lucerys and his dragon Eryx. The boy is torn apart in midair, his dragon destroyed, and the pieces fall into Shipbreaker Bay. Now, Aemond claims it was an accident. He says he just wanted to scare Lucerys, that Vhagar got out of control, and he could not stop her from killing his nephew. And sure, dragons are massive creatures with their own instincts and desires. But come on, you ride the biggest, most aggressive dragon in existence. You chase your traumatized teenage nephew through a deadly storm, and you expect people to believe you did not mean for anything bad to happen? That is like saying you accidentally fired a rocket launcher into a building. Either Aemond is lying, which makes him a kinslayer and a murderer, or he is telling the truth, which makes him catastrophically incompetent with weapons of mass destruction. Either way, it does not look good. But here is why this moment is so crucial. This kill started the dance of the dragons for real. Up until this point, there was tension, there was political maneuvering, but no actual violence between the two sides. Aemond killing Lucerys was the match that lit the powder keg. It made the war inevitable and personal. It guaranteed that thousands of people would die in the conflict that followed. And Aemond? He did not seem particularly bothered by any of this. In fact, Aemond seemed to embrace his new role as the terrifying enforcer for Team Green. He became the Prince Regent when his brother Aegon was injured, and he used that power to unleash absolute hell on the Riverlands. We are talking scorched earth tactics here. Aemond and Vhagar went on what historians call the burning of the Riverlands, systematically destroying castles, towns, and villages that supported Rhaenyra. He burned Harrenhal's surroundings. He torched entire communities. He killed soldiers and civilians alike without discrimination. This was not strategic warfare. This was terror for the sake of terror. Aemond was not trying to win hearts and minds. He was trying to break spirits and burn everything that opposed him. The small folk started calling Vhagar the queen of all dragons, but they said it with fear, not respect. Because wherever Aemond went, death followed on massive leathery wings. The body count kept climbing. Aemond killed his own nephew. He burned countless innocents. He turned the Riverlands into a wasteland. And through it all, he showed absolutely no remorse. No second thoughts. No moments of, maybe I've gone too far. He was a one-eyed missile of destruction with a dragon-sized chip on his shoulder and unlimited power to act on his worst impulses. But what really cements Aemond's evil is not just what he did, but why he did it. This was not about protecting his family or securing the throne for legitimate reasons. This was about pride, revenge, and proving he was stronger than everyone who had ever doubted him. Every burned village was a statement. Every dead enemy was vindication. Aemond was not fighting for a cause. He was fighting to prove he was the baddest person in Westeros, and he was willing to kill anyone and everyone to make that point. His end came at the battle above the God's Eye, where he faced off against his uncle Aemond Targaryen in one of the most legendary dragon battles in history. Both riders died, both dragons died, and they all crashed into the lake below. It was a mutual destruction that felt almost poetic. Two of the most dangerous men in Westeros taking each other out in a blaze of dragon fire and hatred. So how evil was Aemond Targaryen? He was kinslayer, war criminal, and mass murderer who made strategic decisions based on personal grudges rather than logic. He traumatized an entire region, started the deadliest civil war in Westerosi history, and did it all while somehow convincing himself he was the victim. That is not just evil. That is next-level narcissistic supervillain behavior. Thanks for watching, and remember, in Westeros, losing an eye is just the beginning of your villain origin story.